Welcome to Conversations with Masesi, where my guests and I talk everything life, family, love, community, and everything in between. Imagine starting a school with just one student in your basement. Today, we explore the incredible journey of Roadways, a thriving alternative school born from a desire to meet the unique needs of every learner. I'm blessed to have the founder today, Sheila. She will take us through her remarkable growth and share the secret of their success. Sheila, welcome to Conversations.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
What an honor and a privilege to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you.
Wow. And I understand you grew up in a family that values education so much. How has that molded your perspective when it comes to learning and teaching?
Yes, my family, I would say they set a very high bar for education. And, you know, I always think of three words that came out loud and clear in our family. One was diligence and responsibility and excellence, for sure. So I grew up on a farm, and homework was always done around the kitchen table with my mom looking on, and we never left that kitchen table till our homework was done well. So, and if reteaching needed to be done, she was there to help us, or my dad as well. And our house was always full of books, and I was read to from a tiny little girl, and, you know, grew up on the nursery rhymes and heard the classics. And my dad purchased the set of Book of Knowledge from a traveling salesman when we were, you know, quite young, along with the atlas that came separate and the two volume dictionary pack that had to be bought separately. And we used those books a lot.
He was a determined man.
Yeah,
you are
he
all
was.
getting this education no matter what.
Absolutely.
You just mentioned you grew up on rhymes. What was your favorite rhyme growing up?
Oh, my goodness. You know, I'm not sure I have a favorite one, but I knew them. Yeah, Jack and Jill, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, when you were growing up, all you saw was people getting educated. They become a nurse, they become a doctor, they become this mainstream occupations, so to say. And with you, what did you think, when I grow up, I want to be this kind of person?
Yes, well, you know what, I was born mid-50s.
Yes.
So at that time, there weren't a whole lot of careers available to women.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in a time when you either became a nurse a teacher or a secretary. And honestly, I didn't feel limited. I just kind of knew that's what I would be, and there were other teachers in our family, so it was an easy path to follow. And as the years went on, it didn't really feel like a career maybe as much as a calling. You know, I think I grew up in a family where work ethic was expected.
Yes.
And
modeled too, right?
And modeled too.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when I became a teacher, that work ethic kind of kicked in, and I loved it right from the beginning. And you know, as you get married and have your own kids, another layer happens, and you get the compassion that comes with, you know, having your own family and wisdom from teaching several kids.
And that's how you became a teacher?
Yes.
Did you work in the traditional teaching system?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I started out in a kindergarten grade 1 classroom.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
And because now you become a teacher, you teach kindergarten grade 1. Then when did the shift start happening for you to start teaching your own children in your basement?
Okay, well, there were quite a few years in between there.
Okay, yeah.
My first probably 20 years I taught in a rural school.
Okay.
So rural education. And then I moved to Calgary and taught in a city school, and it was during that time that I really got to maybe have a love for those kids who learn differently.
That's true.
And saw the need for special programs for kids that learn differently, and especially kids that couldn't read easily. Yeah.
So your love for kids helped you to see the gap that's there in the system.
Absolutely.
And how did that evolve to you now using your basement for this one student?
Oh, that's quite a story. So yeah, I retired. It was on my retirement, and literally the day that I was packing up my classroom and ready to move home, I was visited by a young family.
Okay.
Knocked on my school door and came in, a young family with a little girl and a little boy. And the little boy had just finished grade 2, going into grade 3, but he still couldn't write his name.
Okay.
And so the family asked if I would tutor him over this summer and get him, you know, to a point where he would be learning to read.
Yes.
And so that was the beginning of it. He was my first student, and so he was with me for this summer, and it continued into the next year.
But now having this one student, did you think this will grow?
I had no idea it would grow.
So in your mind, you're helping a family.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned something important to say, this is more than a job, it's a calling.
Yes.
So you understood that I'm called to help people,
Yes.
even if it's one. And now from that one student that you helped, you started your own thing.
Yes.
Take us through that.
Well, yeah, there's the one student, I had good success with him. You know, I was teaching him one-on-one.
Yes.
I had my whole basement, so we could play and we could learn, and because of the success, his dad allowed 2 more kids to come. He paid for 2 more
Their
kids.
own kids. So now you're having a family.
So, well, no, two other kids from the school that this little boy came from. So he paid for them to come to my school, my basement school.
Yes, to your basement school.
And so then it just sort of spread by word of mouth.
Yes.
And by the end of that school year, I had 6 students, and I had hired another teacher to work with me. And yeah, it just continued to grow, kind of through word of mouth.
Yes.
And 3 years down the road, I had 22 kids and 6 teachers.
Wow.
And so we had grown out of my basement by that point.
Exactly. I like how the passion that has been instilled at home
Yes.
carried you through.
Absolutely.
From Saskatchewan, you went all the way to Calgary, Alberta.
Yes.
But still, the diligence that you spoke about that has been
Yes.
instilled in you, the discipline and the excellence came through and helped somebody else.
Absolutely.
And based on your dedication, how did that affect your own family? Because you have your own family too.
Well, you know what? I expected the same of them. So
Okay.
I was that mom that did homework at the kitchen table with my girls too. And yeah, we made sure that by the time they went to school every morning, their homework was done, their tests were studied for. Yeah.
They had no other way.
There was
but
no
to
other
follow
way.
Follow the footsteps. This is where we're going.
Yes.
Excellence is the standard for this household,
Yes.
and we're all doing it the same way.
Right.
Normally, I've come across, I homeschooled my children as well,
Okay.
right? So I always come across homeschool parents. They will tell you about, my child was struggling in this. I saw the gap in the school system. That's why I homeschooled.
Yes.
But your story is so different. You started not with your own child in your basement.
No.
It was somebody else's child.
Yes.
And it teaches me a lesson right now to say, what I'm passionate about and what I'm gifted in, I can extend that to somebody else and help them.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be blood.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, your children don't have to suffer or have some learning inability for you to go find out how to help them. But if it's a neighbor and they're asking for your help,
Yes.
talk about a calling.
Well, you know what? My school never was an ambition, if you know what I mean. It came out of a need.
Yes.
A need to help these kids. And, you know, as a young teacher, there were always kids in the classroom that struggled to learn to read. And I always wanted to figure out what that was about.
Yes.
And so studying, like I grew up with books. I grew up a studier, and I would say that's a passion of mine.
That's right.
And, you know, it becomes a purpose when you're able to use that study to help other people.
To help somebody else.
Yes.
And it's not about you, it's about the next person you are able to help.
That's
and
right.
And the life you touch.
Yes.
I was so privileged to be involved in so many other things, and when it comes to learning and studying. And I remember this other time how every child will be asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, we need to change that narrative and ask them, what problem do you want to solve? Because I hear, with
That's
talking
such
to
a
you,
neat idea.
you solved a problem.
Yes.
So you took what you're passionate about, made it a mission to help somebody else.
Yes.
And out of that, you had a profession, even though you were paid for it, but the passion remained and the mission was fulfilled.
That's right.
So you fulfilled purpose.
I think so.
Yeah, we need to solve problems.
Yes.
It's not about this title that I have, this degree that I have, but what problem are you solving?
Yes.
And thank you for doing that, solving somebody's problem. But we need to come back for our next segment. And I need to let everybody know that what began as a small personal endeavor has blossomed into a beacon of hope for students seeking different paths. The Roadways story reminds us that innovation and a focus on individual needs can lead to extraordinary outcomes in education. That's a wrap for this segment. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on all our social media platforms to keep the conversation going. Thank you for joining us on Conversations. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you and yours. Shalom.